everyone, it's Kelly from Kelly's Bead Boutique. So today I'm going to show you how to make my little Namaste at home so I can make some more jewelry bracelet. Is that too long of a title? I think it kind of is, but anyway, it's got a little Namaste on there. So I'm going to show you how to do a bit of a faux riveting, and I'm going to show you how to use this funny little tool just to make a little bend, all kinds of little tips and tricks. So come and join me and I'll show you how to make your own today. Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to sort of do a faux rivet. It's not riveting at all, but I'm going to show you how to attach something to some leather, and we're going to tie it on with some Irish wax linen. So I have about 6.5 inches of our 10 millimeter wide leather, and we have that in quite a few different colors. And I'll put a link below to all the supplies here. I have one of our lovely tiara cast Namaste little bars. I have a couple 8 seed beads that I'm going to use just for an embellishment. I have a toggle and some jump rings and our end caps, and I have a couple pieces of Irish wax linen, and I like that because it's got that stickiness to it, which is what we want to make sure that this holds tightly. And we're going to be using some Loctite super glue, and I've got bent chain nose and chain nose pliers, and I am going to show you how to use these bracelet bending pliers just to add a little curve to our Namaste. And I'm going to be using a hole punch. Over here I've got a hole punch, and I'm going to be using, it's not that I need a pin, I just need something sharp, and this one has a nice little sharp pointy end on it. So the first thing I'm going to do, because this is black, I can't really, normally I would mark it with a Sharpie, but I can't really do that. So I'm going to find my halfway point. Now you could get really, crazy and measure, but I'm not much of a measurer. So I'm just going to take this and put a little poke there and put a little poke here. And I'm holding this down fairly snugly with my finger so that I can keep control of it. So now you see I have 4 little marks there. So I have one of our hole punches, and I've got it on the smallest hole there. So I'm just going to line that up over top of that mark that I made, and I like to double check before I punch it down and punch it through there. And now I'm going to go on the other side, and I do try to match it up fairly closely, but this one is a little forgiving if you don't. I just want to try to make sure that's in the middle, and then one more over here. All right, so now if I place that on top, I should, if I got lucky, be right over top of my inside holes, which I am. So that works out perfectly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take our bracelet bending pliers, and you'll see when I open them up that they have a curve that goes this way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this in here, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a curve. It just kind of helps sit on the wrist a little bit nicer. Now, if you don't have one of these, we do sell them, but you could take a plastic mallet and form this around something and just kind of gently tap. And you see now it just gives it a little bit of a curve. You don't want to use a ball peen hammer because it will add texture. We don't want to add any texture because they've already done that at TierraCast. So now that's going to fit on here, but when you put it on your wrist, you'll see it actually forms the wrist a little bit better. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit of sewing, and I'm going to sew with my Irish wax linen. So I'm just going to come up either side of my hole and pull that up. And now I'm going to take this one here, take the inside one, and I'm going to go through that hole. Just kind of pop that down. So this is kind of a fun way of attaching things without having to rivet anything. Okay, so now I'm just going to go down and up a couple times, and I kind of go as many times as I can get through here. So I'll come back up if I can. I'm trying to keep it on the camera, but it's hard for me to see. So I'm going to try, I think I can get that up there one more time. And the nice thing about the Irish wax linen is if it starts to kind of unravel or whatever, you can just sort of push it back together there. That one's a little hard to get in there, so I'm not sure if I can go one more time there. I'll see if I can come back up here. I do have to get back up because these I want coming out the top. So let me just, what I'll do is I'll pull that off to the side. There we go. You just sort of pull it off to the side a bit. That helps. And I'll just kind of maneuver these with my fingers. There's always a way to do it. It's just sometimes hard for me to do it on camera. But I've resorted to tweezers and things like that when I need to get things up in small spaces. Okay, so I didn't find myself any tweezers, so all I did was sort of pull this back a little bit just to create a little more room, and there we go, it just pops up inside. So sometimes it's just about, as I like to say, holding your tongue the right way. Okay, so I'm gonna get that one all nice and snug, and now I'm just gonna repeat on the other side. So again, I'm gonna find my halfway point, come up each hole, and I'm gonna stitch through the same amount that I did on the other side. So basically that was like 2 times through the hole. You know, you can always make a hole a little bit bigger if you want a little bit more of an embellished look with your wax linen. So it's completely up to you. So I'm just going to finish this part off. So all I'm doing is going up and down through the hole. I'll finish this part off and then I will come back and show you how I finish this embellishment. All right, so I have all of my pieces coming out the top. So now I'm just going to tie a little knot, just an overhand knot. And then I'm going to come back in and tie one more. And I'm pulling that nice and snug, really snugly there. So repeat on the other side. And just another knot there. Nice and snug. Now I'm going to embellish this a little bit with our size 8 seed bead. So you can use whatever you've got kicking around. You could use 6s or whatever. I just kind of like these little Picassos because they went nicely with the Irish wax linen. So I'm just going to push that down. And then I'm going to just make a overhand knot, and I sort of make it around my finger, and then I'm going to pull that down. And these don't have to look any certain way. You can have a bit of an organic look. It's just to sort of, you know, give it a little finish. And then I'll pull one more. See, and that's what I like about this stuff. You just kind of roll it together and then it will reform itself. Okay, so pull that down. I always make my knots over my finger. I find that it sort of forms a loop a little nicer. And then pull that down, and there we go. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, so now I'll take my scissors and I'm going to trim it off about a 1/4 inch. Just wanted to make so you could see it there. And I'll do that on the other side. And it helps if you have better scissors than this. Now the nice thing about this is you can then take this and unravel it. Just kind of go back and forth and unravel it, and it gives it a little bit of a looser look. So it doesn't have to be all tight like that. So I'm just going to repeat on the other side. I'm going to put a couple of my size 8 seed beads, and then I'll be right back and show you how that looks. All right, so now I have that all sewn on there, and I love how you add a little bit of fiber on there, and it gives it a bit of a softer look. It's not such a hard metal look. So that's kind of a unique way to add it, and I hope you give that a try. It's kind of fun. Okay, so now I'm going to take a little bit of my Loctite glue, and I'm going to just run a little bead of that on the end. And you don't want to overdo, but you want to use enough. And I like Loctite because it's a gel, and I can really tell it where I want it to go. So just give that a little squeeze. And then I'm going to glue these ends on. And then I'm going to let it sit for a minute. So I'll just repeat on this side. I like to run it down all 4 sides of it. and on the end, and then on the very end here. So I'm not using a big ton of it, but I am using a fair amount. So I'll just stick that on there. And always keep a little piece of paper towel or something should you have a little overage like I've got there. Just kind of wipe that away. It is clear, so it won't show, but I don't like to have any excess. So I'll just let that dry and then I'll come right back. Okay, so now I'm going to add my toggle. So I'm going to take one of my small jump rings, and I like to use the smallest, heaviest jump ring that I can. So these are about a 4.5 millimeter 18 gauge. So I'm going to open that up. And then on one end, I'm going to put the round loop part of the toggle. And I just attach that with one jump ring. And these are pretty heavy duty jump rings, but that's exactly what I want. Now on this end, if I was just to attach it with one jump ring, it wouldn't slide up inside that loop end at all. So I always put on 3. So I'm going to put on 1 here. And I put 3 so that it orients it the right way. If I just put 2, it would have the bar going the wrong way. So that's often a mistake that people make, and then they wonder why their jewelry doesn't sit right. So you have to make sure that you're always looking at those kind of things. So there's my second one. And then we'll attach the final one. So it has to make sure it's opened up enough. Through there, and then through the last jump ring, and there we go. So now you can see you can get your bar up inside there nice and easily, and it gives it a real nice finish. So that's a really simple little bracelet. It's got a really striking look to it. We have lots of different little bars like this that say believe and a few other things. I think we have a love one, and we have some Celtic knots and things like that. So I'll make sure to put a link below. I will link everything that I used here today. I love this bracelet. I think it's really classic, a great gift for somebody. You could dangle a few charms off the back if you wanted, but I mainly wanted to show you how we can stitch these little bars on without having to use any rivets. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give me a like. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. I try to put out a new video every Monday at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And please leave me a comment. I love to hear from everybody. I get all kinds of great positive comments. So keep them coming. Love to hear from everybody. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it.